When I sit next to this Rocky statue, I feel like a giant because the likeness is unbelievable. Check it out. Hey guys, Mr. X here with the Extreme Collection. I kind of like feeling like a giant. I can do what I want with you, dog. Too much? You're thinking, Mr. X, you're probably either drunk or it's really early in the morning. It is one of those two. Maybe it's both. But we're going to dive in and look at this piece I've had for a long time. This is made by Blitzway, and this is the 1/4 scale Rocky II statue. Now, an interesting fact on this guy, I don't know how many they made. I looked at the bottom, I looked up on Blitzway's website. It's all doesn't say. So who knows if there's 1 million or 200 of these out there. But it may say on the box, but that's my Indiana Jones warehouse. But I can tell you that this retailed for around $460. I bought it PO'd a long time ago before I ever, got on YouTube and started sharing my collection. So I've had him brand new for a long time, and he is one of my favorite pieces, and it's really interesting because he's very unexciting. But I think some of the reasons he's my favorite is because there's a lot of nostalgia with him, and then just the story that it tells. So we're going to talk a lot about that today while we review him using the extreme scale. The extreme scale is a 1 through 5 scale. T on the far left means trash, and X on the far right means extreme. Before we dive into the review, let's get the dimensions on this. So the base diameter for you what class was that? It wasn't algebra, it was the other one. Is about 10.5 inches wide. Oh, what was that? It started with a P, I feel like. The height on this guy is 21.25, and the height on Rocky alone is about 18.75. Butkus, Butkus, what a name, is about 12 inches deep. What was that? It was the math class that you used the compass and the protractor in high school. Obviously, I didn't need that class if I don't even remember what it was called. Geometry, that's what it was called. I was thinking physics. No, told you, it's either early morning, or I'm drunk, or possibly both. But let's talk a little bit about this. The reason why I like the backstory so much before we get into the concept and design and all that. So I grew up with Rocky. I grew up with when the new movies released, when I was young, I only liked the fight scenes, and my children are very similar to that now. And Rocky came out, Sylvester Stallone wrote it. He only made $50,000, I think, or $75,000 for the first movie. It was kind of his, kickstart to stardom. And as an adult, I see why now. When I go back and watch Rocky I and Rocky II specifically, then they kind of fell apart, even though I freaking love Rocky IV. I just do. Actually, you know what? Here's a Rocky collectible that I have. It's pretty cool. You've probably seen it in my room tour, but it is a glove signed by Sylvester Stallone. By the way, everything I have is authenticated by reputable agencies, the most reputable agencies. And then I have a collage of my 4 favorite Rocky movies on this as well. But back to what I was saying, Rocky I and Rocky II, when I watched those as an adult, they're amazing movies, even if you eliminate the boxing aspect of them, because you can really see one man's struggle, not only with the elements of life, and actually Rocky has one of my favorite quotes. It's this right here. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you down to your knees and keep you permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody ain't gonna hit as hard as life. But it's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning's done. I actually have that in a big canvas in one of my offices. And I always teach my children, when they were really young, we were on a very, very difficult hike. We used to have time to hike all the time before YouTube. Sucked all my time away. And some very difficult hikes for adults, and they were 2, 4, and 6, or 4, 6, and 8. And I would sit down with them when they wanted to quit, and I'd say, you know what, everybody is tired right now. Everybody wants to quit. The difference between winners and losers is the winners keep going when they hit that roadblock. They still have that same roadblock that the losers do. The losers just choose to give up. So I love that part of the story, but more than that, I love with Rocky, I love the internal struggle, trying to figure out who he is and what his worth is, on top of fighting the elements of the world. And I love that story about Rocky, and I think that's why it's so good, and it's not only so good, it's a timeless classic. If I'm flipping through the channels and Rocky 1 or 2 is on, I instantly stop watching. I get mesmerized by the whole thing. I might actually watch it this weekend now. I'm getting so excited. Maybe it's because I'm a giant. But enough of that crap, philosophical stuff early in the morning and or with alcohol. But this is made by Blitzway. So Blitzway is an interesting company. They do 1/6 figures, 1/4 figures, a few other offshoots, and they do a lot of movie-based stuff. And one of the things they're very good at is likeness. One of their other pieces I have is the Sharon Stone from Basic Instinct. Check this out right here. And they are just known for nailing that likeness and doing an awesome job, and this is no exception. So let's dive into the reviews, starting with the concept. And what I really like about this concept and why I think it's a classic piece is it encompasses not only, obviously, it's Rocky, but you look at it, well, why didn't they do something where he's wearing, you know, boxing gloves or like Chronicle Collectibles did with this piece? And everyone's hoping that Pop Culture Shock Toys is going to do. Because they captured the Rocky that I was talking about, where the movie wasn't about the boxing. So he's sitting here on his street corner, and they have this sub base, which I don't like, but it helps elevate it some, which is nice because I can put him behind other pieces. And it's a classic concrete. A lot of the movie is in downtown Philadelphia, which if you've ever been there, not downtown, but kind of the burbs, not the nice burbs. It's a very nasty place. It can be. No offense to anyone that lives there. But it's a rough part of town, and I've been there a few times. And he's sitting there with his dog. It's a classic museum pose. Museum means he's posing for a picture, just showing off the character. He's in his classic clothes, very Italian, very from that movie, where he just gained some money and he pissed it all away. Mr. X can relate to that. And he's sitting there with an awesome expression on his face. I love what they did with his expression. And we're not talking about the likeness, which is also spot on. But he's very somber. He's looking to the future. You can't tell if he's happy or sad. And also a big part of concept is the likeness. And they nailed it on this. We're going to see much more close-ups and paint and sculpt, but just trust me, they did. I love the concept of it. It's showing Rocky, but it's not showing the Italian Stallion. It's not showing the boxer, because I think that there was so much more to, especially Rocky 1 and 2, about Rocky Balboa. So I think it's a rail concept. It's a 4 out of 5, and I will explain why it's not an X. Because Rocky, first and foremost, is a boxer. I mean, that's the realism of it. If people think of Rocky Balboa, they think of him boxing. But it tells the other side of the story, which is awesome. Now let's talk about the design. And I put this together so long ago, I don't remember. I do know Butkus right here is one piece, and he doesn't have any pegs or anything, so you can set him wherever you want. Or you can remove him from the display. And this piece is extremely heavy, not only Butkus, but the entire thing. I love that name. I should name my kid Butkus. But he is in mixed media. That's a disadvantage. I always hate mixed media. They could have sculpted this, but I love his jacket. And we'll look at the close-ups. But the hat is sculpted. One big negative is his arms actually go in, and it's in the mixed media. So if you've ever done that before, it seems like Blitzway always does that, is it's very hard to connect when you can't see what's going on. So they fall out very easily because you don't get that secure connection. So I think that's a negative. One other big negative, I don't know how this is happening, but the paint is fading on this sub base. Maybe it was pressed up against something, so maybe it's my fault, but I'm just noticing it now. Very disturbing, but it is an easy fix. So design-wise, I don't think it's anything spectacular. It's a fairly easy statue to do, but there's some positives and negatives, so let's say that it's very nice. It's right in the middle. Now we'll dive into paint and sculpt, starting at the bottom, go to the top, and we'll kind of jump around. I have some photos without Butkus on there so you can see the base, because this whole thing is phenomenally done, the paint and the sculpt. Kind of a spoiler alert. So here's some pictures of the black base where it's not faded. This is fine. I understand why they did it, because this is kind of a museum pose. You know, this piece, or museum piece, this is a piece that people would want whether they're statue collectors or not. Big for movie collectors, things like that. Let's look at this base here. This concrete is awesome. It's one of the best concretes I've ever seen done. The coloring on it, not only on the sides, but the top and the texture and the cracks. And then his step down is some blacktop, which I like because there was some blacktop in the movie as well. The blacktop's not done as well. It doesn't look like real blacktop where the concrete looks like real concrete. I like the fact there's different colors. Again, it makes you feel like a very poor part of the neighborhood or the city. And look at the grass they have growing out of the cracks. That is phenomenal. It looks and feels like real grass. Big props to them on this base. It's simplistic, yet advancedly done. Here's Butkus. Butkus is also awesome. Fully sculpted other than his green t-shirt with his name and number on it. But his hair looks like it's real hair and it's sculpted in. It's awesome. I love the coloring they used on it. I love the muscle structure throughout Butkus. We don't have any pets. Mrs. X is against pets in the house, which is okay because they'd probably mess up my statues. But this is done so well. Look at his collar. And Rocky has the matching bracelet we'll look at. Look at his portrait here. Fantastic portrait. The sculpt, the paint. I'm finding I don't have words right now because it's just really well done. Let's start at Rocky, looking at his Italian boots here. Again, this is right after he got his first paycheck from fighting Apollo and losing the first time. So he went and splurged, which everyone can relate to. I did that when I sold my first company. And, you know, these are awesome looking. A lot of them are covered by the mixed media. And I didn't take any pictures, but even if you pull up the trousers, there's tons of detail. Zipper and all kinds of cool stuff. His slacks, his pants look okay. I mean, they're mixed media and they're done very well for mixed media, but I just hate mixed media. To me, it's doll clothes. I really wish they would have sculpted this, but it looks more realistic probably with mixed media, so that's smart. And they got all the pockets and different parts of it. Check out his belt here. Now, one part of the mixed media I really like, and when we say mixed media, we mean fabric, is his jacket. Looks awesome. Looks just like the movie jacket with the awesome tiger. He saw this in a store window when he was splurging and going shopping. Looks great. It was more of a leather jacket, I think, in the movie, so it would have been nice if they had done that. Here's his shirt. Again, it's a fabric shirt, nothing really to write home about. You really can't see his body, and he really wasn't that muscular in movies 1 and 2. It wasn't until 3 and 4 that he really trimmed down, and I think that's when there was a lot of change with the world on, you know, in the 1980s of what is physique and what does it look like. He also has his hanging cross necklace that he always wore. He'd kiss sometimes. Let's look at his arms. His arm color, I'm not digging the skin color on here. I like the veins, I like the sculpt of it. Again, it's not that super trim, muscular athlete that we see nowadays, but this is what he was like in the movie. There's something about the skin color that's just a little bit off for me, but his gloves look awesome. Look like real leather padded gloves. These are the ones he wore to be kind of a gangster in his own time. And then you see his matching Butkus collar, and I just noticed that one of the spikes is missing on mine. I've never noticed that before. That kind of sucks. But this was a collar for a smaller dog, and he bought it as a bracelet. If you don't remember or you haven't seen the movie. So let's look at his portrait, and this is spot on. This is what Sylvester Stallone looked like. Sylvester Stallone almost looks like he had work done because his face changed so much from Rocky 1 to Rocky 4. And I'm not saying that's true. It just looks like it. But this is what he looked like in the movie. I think they knocked it out of the park. If you look at the resemblance, his nose, his eye looks like he has the lazy eye because it was injured in the first fight from Apollo. The skin tones on here are much better than the arms. I like the rosiness they added in. He has kind of a 5 o'clock shadow starting. And the expression is perfect, like I said. You can't tell if he's determined or sad. So it fits really well with the theme of this statue. And his eyes, glossed over, look like real eyes. Really well done. Really quick, here's his hat. It's not mixed media, it's sculpted, looks good. Solid black color. Then his hair, they did a great job on his hair. He had quite long hair in those first few movies. Again, this is Blitzway's strength. They're actually working on a partnership with Prime 1 to do a 1/3 scale Heath Ledger Joker. Can't wait to see that revealed. It'll be pretty awesome. Even though I did order the Queen Studios one, because it was like $900, which is sad when we think $900 is cheap. So paint and sculpt on this guy, I think it's a no-brainer. They're extremely high. It's definitely a 4 or 5, a W or an X. I think the paint on the arms and the sculpt on the arms and hands takes away a little bit. Not the gloves, but the arms and hands. But everything else is perfect, so I think I'm going to give the paint a 4 out of 5, a rail. And the reason for that, like I said, is they didn't have to paint a ton of stuff because the mixed media covers it all. And then just some of the shades on the arm, I think. But I think the sculpt is perfect. The sculpt is definitely an X. So does this statue have the X factor? I think if you love the Rocky movies for the fights and that's all it's about, it's not an X factor for you. For me, you know, about 10 years ago when I was actually watching it again, and I probably watch them, you know, once every 2 years, it really hit me on how amazing and deep this movie is and how much I got into the character of Rocky Balboa. And I think this statue emulates that. It's not an X statue. An X statue is one I will never sell unless I have to choose between cheeseburgers and statues. Thought I was going to say my wife, didn't you? But so I think it's definitely a rail. It's not quite a grail, and I think you can get them for a decent price, probably $600 to $800 on eBay. I don't know, or other collectors. But it's a rail. It's a 4 out of 5 statue. The concept is awesome. The likeness is awesome. The sculpt is great. Good paint. Very cool. Let me know what your favorite movie piece is out there, and if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, even though most of you have stopped watching by now. So I probably should have said that at the beginning. You know what? We're gonna, F it. All right, guys. I will talk to you tomorrow. I'm sorry. I don't have any good way to close this out. That's how life works sometimes. You're not always spontaneous. But what time is it? Shit, I gotta go.